Questions?
Of us?
For you?
Well, what did you think?
It's going to work the other way. They asked you guys.
That's what I thought. You absolutely looked at me and said, questions?
Meaning, are you ready? Here we go. If you have a question for George or Brad, and after spending the time with them, you realize there's no reason to be afraid, no reason to be scared or nervous. It's an opportunity to spend some time and ask some questions of people that you deeply admire. So, you know what's always weird? No one ever wants to be the first person. No one ever wants to be the first. Everybody here. Oh, right there. There you are. Thank you.
Boldly go where no one has been.
He didn't see me. Is this on?
I hope so. Tap it. Do.
Talk to him. Talk to him.
Keep going. Keep going.
Put your mouth very close.
Okay. I'll repeat your question if no one can hear you. Go ahead.
I'll talk loud.
There you go.
First, thank you for all your work.
Thank you for being a wonderful audience.
What's the latest on Allegiance? Are we going to see it at the Paramount Theater in Seattle? Are we going to see it in New York?
Oh, you'll see it in New York first. We are very impatiently waiting for a theater vacancy. Every theater has been booked up, and there are producers waiting in line for the vacancy. And it's been a year and a half, more than a year and a half that we've been waiting, and we're getting very impatient. But we're getting closer and closer. So those of you who are saving up money for your trip to New York, it won't be long. And those of you who are waiting for it to appear at the Paramount or the Fifth Avenue Theater, it will be long. A long running hit on Broadway. And after that, we'll organize a road company that will travel throughout the country. So start saving your money and come to New York instead.
Oh, this is on.
It is on.
Thank you for all you do. I recently saw online that you went to Hiroshima for the first time. And
No, it wasn't the first time.
Oh, it wasn't the
Many
first
times.
time. And your grandmother lived there, is that right?
My maternal grandparents, grandfather and grandmother, came from Hiroshima. My paternal grandparents came from Yamanashi, which is closer to Tokyo.
And I was just wondering if you both went back, what that experience was like. I saw that on your blog that you had seen where her home was and where she was when the bomb fell. And I'd just like to hear what that experience was like for both of you to be there.
Well, with my grandparents, there's an interesting story. They came to the United States, and my maternal grandfather was in farming in the Sacramento Delta, and that's where my mother was born, and as well as my mother's brothers and sisters. But in Sacramento, at that time, they had segregated education. The Asian and Mexican American kids had to go to one school, and the white kids went to another school. Obviously, the minority school was much inferior. So my grandfather sent all of his children at different stages for their education in Japan. And then they came back to the United States. But as the tension between Japan and the United States increased, my grandparents sensed the winds of war coming. And so they went back to Japan before the war began, to, of all places, Hiroshima, from which they came. But fortunately, my grandparents built their house. My grandfather was fairly successful in farming, and so he built a house in Hiroshima, but some distance from the center of town. And it was that saved them from perishing in the bombing. However, my mother's youngest sister went back to Japan with her parents, my grandparents. She'd gotten married, and she had married to a man in the next village over. But on that fateful day, she and her 5-year-old son had come back to Hiroshima to do some shopping, and they were downtown. And so they perished. An aunt that I'd never met and a cousin that I had never met perished in the bombing of Hiroshima. At that time, we were in American internment camps, and we had no way of communicating with the outside world. But a rumor somehow started that a horrific bomb that the world had never seen before had fallen on Hiroshima and had wreaked devastation. And so my mother was just almost hysterical with worry and concern because her parents and 2 of her siblings had returned to Hiroshima. And we didn't find out for sure. I mean, my mother was going half crazy with worry. And so my father told her, our understanding is that it was a terrible bomb. The devastation was widespread and many thousands of people died. So let's just to give yourself some peace, let's consider your parents as having passed in the bombing. But when the war ended and we were released from the internment camp, we found out that my grandparents had survived miraculously because their house was some distance. However, her youngest sister and her child, 5-year-old son, had perished in the bombing. So I do have a direct connection to that dark tragedy of the bombing of Hiroshima.
And if I could chime in, the historical story that George just related is beautifully told in George's Takei's Take, which is his YouTube series produced by AARP. And he and AARP went back to Hiroshima, as I did just a couple of weeks ago, and those episodes where he talks in more detail about what he told you tonight is now on his Takei's Take YouTube series. So I encourage everybody to check it out.
Thank you for your question. George, you and I were talking this morning and then downstairs having dinner, and the idea, I remember I asked you, you always make a joke about going boldly someplace. And as people are reimagining their life and moving into the next chapter of their life, which is what this series is about, what is it that holds somebody back? What stops that person from even beginning to imagine a next chapter of their life?
I think it's important for us to, first of all, enjoy life, to be living our lives. You know, because the advances made in medicine and our knowledge of good health has extended our longevity. And so many people look forward to retirement. But if you really enjoy what you're doing, and I love acting, I love the theater, and I've been an activist all my life, and I love supporting the good causes, the good issues, the good candidates, particularly are having experienced that horrible failure of American democracy when we were incarcerated for no good reason other than the fact that we looked like the enemy. So I've been active in many arenas of life. And think about life that is so enriching and fulfilling is that you can contribute to making our society a little bit better. The conference is called Reimagining Life, and life is full of opportunities, and so many people let opportunities just walk by. And I think that I've been able to remain engaged because I like to seize opportunities. When Howard Stern's office called, offering me the opportunity to be the regular announcer on the Howard Stern show, it was an opportunity that we had to think about very hard. He is a dedicated listener of the Howard Stern show. I was not, but through Brad, I know what that show is like. And I've been active in advocacy for equality for the LGBT community. I've been going on speaking tours throughout the country, and I saw that at these speaking tours, the audience seemed to be made up mostly of LGBT people or straight allies, people who were already with us. And in order to bring about change, we had to reach that vast middle, which I maintain is made up of decent, fair-minded people. And these people are busy making a living, and they don't think about issues other than what directly affects their lives. So we needed to have a vehicle to reach them. And we thought, they listened to the Howard Stern show. They made time for that. This may be an opportunity to reach them via his show. And so after discussions, we knew that it was a high-risk venture, but I decided, all right, I'll accept that opportunity. And as it turned out, we were right on that. We did reach that decent, fair-minded middle, and we started getting letters of support from totally unexpected areas, like Oklahoma City, or Charlotte, North Carolina, or Alabama. And we had accomplished something that we had been working on accomplishing for a long, long time. So opportunities like that pop up, and it's a matter of seizing them and working with it. We developed this musical Allegiance that you saw in the film. It's about a time in our country that very few people know about. Very few people, particularly back east, don't know about the internment. And when I tell them that I grew up in prison, in U.S. prison camps as a child, they are shocked and aghast. And so here we dedicated a lot of our time, energy, talent, and money into that production. And people don't know about it. So I said, well, here's social media. That's a wonderful medium to raise the awareness. And then once they're aware, let them know that we have a musical on it, share some of the music from it, which are, the songs are fantastic. And then to develop them into enthusiastic potential ticket buyers. And it worked, because our run in San Diego was a record-breaking run. We broke their 77-year record for both box office and attendance, and won the Best Musical of the Year award, as you saw in the documentary. So life is a matter of seizing these opportunities when they come by. And because of that, here I am with you tonight, sharing that the opportunity that we had to have a fine documentary and make a documentary on us. Life is a matter of just grabbing and seizing opportunities.
But George, as much as everyone has an opportunity to seize different things, there's something that stops them from seizing. For instance, if you allow fear to get in the way of your comfort that you had, because you would have to go to an uncomfortable place to go say on the Howard Stern show. So how does someone talk about overcoming the fear of allowing yourself to go into either an uncomfortable or a previously uncharted territory? How does one face the fear and seize the moments?
It wasn't fear. It was, how am I going to deal with the kind of challenges that Howard will present. And then you weigh that with the possibility of reaching people that you wouldn't be able to reach otherwise. And so it's a matter of, taking a gamble.
Right.
And if you're fearful of gambling, then you won't do it. I guess that's fear.
Right.
But I'm an actor. I mean, what a high-risk business that is.
Right.
I dedicated my life to going out for interviews and saying, I'm the best person for that role, knowing that there are a dozen others that are applying. It takes a little bit of arrogance and a lot of self-confidence and a lot of risk-taking. And I decided to take that risk, and it paid off. But if you don't take risks, then you don't have the payoff either.
In the middle row, without a microphone, you can do it.
Yeah, I'm landlocked in here. My question is for Brad. You're rocking them glasses. Where'd you get them at?
Rocking the glasses, where'd you get them at?
Made in Italy.
My comment to you, Brad, is that most of us that are involved in AARP know how important a caregiver is. And I just want to, I know that in the film it said that you were a caregiver, not for your own relative, but for an in-law. That is a tremendous, especially somebody with Alzheimer's, is a tremendous.
Well, thank you for noting that. Yeah, Brad was fantastic. He became another son, literally. And I'm eternally grateful for him for doing what he did. It's, as you well know, not easy to work with someone who has Alzheimer's. It's a heartbreaking disease, and it's one heartbreak following another as they decline further and further. And some of the stages are horrific. They're terrifying. And he supported me throughout that. So I'm very grateful, and thank you for noting that.
Thank you, but that was for Brad.
And I appreciate your noting that.
The skill set I developed to take care of George's late mother, I learned from going to the AARP website.
Question here?
Nice. Yeah, I wanted to ask you guys a question about the Facebook page. I guess I'm curious, how many people do you have curating that Facebook page, and how directly involved are you guys? Because it's an amazing feed. I just enjoy it so much. Please.
Well, thank you. Brad and I share the curating. We have 4 interns who do the posting. And because, we're not there all the time, as tonight, we backlog the meetings and give them dates when they're to post them. And so it's a team effort. We call it Team Takei.
Also, the people really are fascinated by the topic you just brought up, but because of time constraints, I would refer you to the 2 books George has written on his foray into the internet. One, Oh My, There Goes the Internet. The second, Lions and Tigers and Bears, The Internet Strikes Back. Both available at local company Amazon.com.
You guys introduced me to Amazon comments, and I can't thank you enough because those are so hilarious.
Thanks for the question. You coming down here to ask one?
Sure.
We've got time for it. You guys take one more? I think we have a long, long day tomorrow. George, you okay with that?
it's gonna be long.
Very long.
Well, you're a Hollywood guy, and this ties into Allegiance. Hollywood's big into doing remakes. When are they going to remake Go for Broke, The Little Less Van Johnson, and More Than 442nd?
You're absolutely right. Go for Broke was made, I think, in 1947 or 8, thereabouts.
And for its time, it was pretty good considering the atmosphere, but the story still needs to be
Yeah,
told.
and there are still people that don't know about the incredible heroism of the men of the 442nd. They're the Japanese-American outfit that went from the internment camps, leaving their families in imprisonment, and fought with amazing, incredible heroism on the bloody battlefields of Europe. And they came back as the single most decorated unit of all of the units in the Second World War per capita. And they are the ones that made it possible for me to enjoy the America that I enjoy today. And there are some stinging ironies in their story as well. There were many who perished on those bloody battlefields in Europe. And the American flag that covered their coffins were brought back to their wives or their parents, still imprisoned behind American barbed wire fences. Can you imagine reading over your husband or your son and to have the flag that he fought for and that covered his dead body or being brought back to his loved ones, still imprisoned by the very government that their son or husband died for. There are many, many heartbreaking, ironic stories like that. And that's part of the history of America. We have a checkered history, and that's why it's important that we who know that history be actively engaged to make our democracy a better democracy, a truer democracy. They have an important story about our country, and I know the value of our democratic ideals because I know the price that's been paid for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. George Takei, thank you very much.